If we want to survive, we have to make it until dawn.
What is that?
Hadn't seen it at WonderCon. I saw it earlier this week.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Fantastic job. This is the reason I love watching horror movies on the big screen. I got that same vibe of like going into a movie with my friends and just having the time of my life. It was so much fun.
Great.
This does a great job of paying homage to the horror genre in a great way. Now, David, you've described this film as a sequel rather than a straightforward adaptation. Can you talk about that approach and how that allowed you to expand the lore while remaining true to the spirit of Until Dawn, bringing, for those old fans and newcomers alike?
I think that's what Gary and Blair did such a great job with the script. That they didn't try to just like take 10 hours of game and condense it down, take out the interactivity and recast it. Like, it wouldn't have been the same thing. I mean, this way, as another sort of chapter in a bigger universe, you get more Until Dawn rather than like the same Until Dawn, which excited me, and especially because the game is such a love letter of horror, and we got to do a love letter to horror with the movie and with all these different genres and everything. So for me, it was just exciting.
Now, Gary, I'm a big fan of your work, but I also love Blair Butler. I mean, I think she is fantastic. I've loved her since Fresh Ink at G4.
Same.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you and Blair worked extensively with the game's creators.
Yeah.
Can you share about how those collaborations helped enrich the script and made sure it felt authentic in the Until Dawn ethos?
Yeah, well, I think it was a lot of dialogue back and forth because it was talking about like, okay, well, we know the story of the game. What was some of the backstories, specifically Dr. Hill,
yep.
And also like when you guys, kicked around future game installments and all that. Like, where do you see this story going? Where did you see it? So. See it like, how do you see it unfolding? How big does it get? Which is, again, as a fan of the game and as a big video game player, like I don't interact with game developers a whole lot, so it's so cool to see how they think and how they crack story. So there was a lot of just that kind of dialogue back and forth and making sure we weren't going, too far afield, and we were kind of in sync as like if another game does come out that we're kind of in rowing in the same direction, as it were. And this feels, and hoping that treating the game as a chapter in the movie as a chapter of the larger story.
Incredible. David, this film had some of the best death scenes that I've ever seen on screen. I'll tell you what, for a horror film, absolutely incredible, especially the one in the bathroom, just exploding
my favorite.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
That is wild. What was the hardest to execute practically?
Well, it was all pretty tricky because you need so much sort of planning and make sure to get it right because you only get one shot. I mean, once we had for that scene, once we had everything figured out how to do it, it was not too hard to do it because you basically just have a character there. You turn off the camera and put in the dummy, and it just kind of works.
You didn't think, but it shouldn't have been that easy. Right,
as long as we get it right, it's gonna work. No, you are nervous because, and we did, to protect ourselves, we did shoot like clean plates and stuff. Like if we have to do CGI, like if it doesn't work at all, then we have that option. But thankfully, it did work.
And it brings so much more to the film just seeing it in camera like that. Absolutely incredible. Now, Gary, I love the time loop stuff because the one thing I love about the game is the replayability. Yeah. And I think the thing I love about the film is it has rewatchability, especially with all the time loops. But not only does it reset the scenario, but it also gradually alters the character's physical and mental state. Can you talk about how that developed these transformations in the script where they symbolize the nature of trauma and survival in extreme situations? Well,
yeah, we thought a lot about how fear can transform not just your mental state, but affect your mental state also affects you physically, and wanted that to carry over into the movie. The same way the game explores that as well. So I just always thought that was so cool. Someone progressively getting, turning into a monster themselves as they're fighting monsters is so cool. And then well, I'm sorry, completely.
Oh, about the surviving extreme.
Oh yeah, I feel like that kind of.
Yeah. You got it. Now, by opting to create an in-universe story that feels a natural extension to the universe, what new themes or narrative directions did you explore that weren't going to be possible if you did a direct adaptation of the game?
Well, we got to do more, or the other different horror genres that they didn't explore in the game, which was a lot of fun to do. That sort of expansion and do more of it, and do things that they didn't do in the game.
I want to talk about Dr. Hill for a second because if anybody that's played the game knows exactly who Dr. Hill is. Peter returns for the role, and he's an intriguing link between the game and the film. Can you discuss the evolution of the character and how his new role kind of connects to the history of the game, in telling this his overall narrative?
Well, are we doing spoilers or not?
I mean, it's not a new role necessarily. So he's playing the same, so it's same character, but he's got a new, but it's different. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So there is his story is, I think, probably the story of the franchise. So it's like, I don't want to go too deep there, but he's really the character we talked about a lot with the game developers and all that stuff. I really see him as kind of the face of the franchise. Like he's got a larger. He's got a larger plan, I guess, and this is, the people in the movie and the people in the game are just, one part of it.
Now, I feel like having made this film, this must have been a ton of fun to make. What, to you guys, did you learn the most about the filmmaking process that you didn't know before while making Until Dawn?
How long practical effects take, why movies aren't really made that way anymore, because you don't get a lot of chances and it takes a lot of time, but I think it's still worth it.
Yeah, don't you want to keep doing that? Like, I feel like that's
because it's like a magic
so
trick,
great.
And it's fun sort of figuring out how to do it. And,
I think that again, how it's challenging, but it's a lot of fun. So I think it was nice to I guess relearn that.
You relearn a lot of things. You keep relearning, there's never enough days.
Now, last question I have for you guys is there are a lot of Easter eggs and subtle connections that tie back into the game throughout the film. How did you decide what elements were crucial to keep in the game for those longtime players of the game, and how did that help establish the universe?
Well, some of those connections were sort of very much a team effort, because there's even like things put in by the production design team, to tie it together. And so there were things from the script, things from production design, and just things that sort of evolved. Like, oh, hey, we could, put this in there to tie it together even more.
Yeah, I thought it really came from Dr. Hill aside, and then like the mask is so iconic that felt like something we should carry over, and then it became a bunch of just Easter eggs to I think for the fans of the game, but to make it feel of the world. Of course, the hourglass itself is such a that's like one of the hallmarks of so iconic too from the game, so that felt important to carry over. And then it was fun dropping things in, but it was also fun. I don't even know all the Easter eggs in there because the production design was dropping stuff in and all that, which is cool.
This is the reason why we go to the movies, guys. I feel like this is such a fun time in a theater watching it with the other people. You guys did a fantastic job.
Thank you so much
for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
So the night is just going to repeat itself.
I don't remember that happening last time.